Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my 2020 reading wrap-up. So I just want to go over some of the books that I liked, some of the books I didn't like. Basically, just a few of the books that made an impression on me that I read this year. So I'm going to do a book that I really liked, a book that I reread, a book that I didn't like very much, a book that taught me something, and I do sort of have an honorary mention as well. I want to start with a book that I really liked, and this is sort of tied. The first book that I really liked this year is I Hold a Wolf by the Ears by Laura Vandenberg. And I did a review on this. I also have mentioned it multiple times. I actually don't even have it right now because I've been so hype about it. I lent it to someone, but I really liked this book. It was a collection of like short stories that were kind of scary and eerie. It was a really interesting like modern horror kind of book, but not necessarily horror. It gave me very much like Black Mirror vibes, which I'm a fan of, so I liked that. But I feel like that was just something really different that I hadn't read anything like that in a long time, if ever. So to me, that felt like just such a unique book, and I did enjoy it a lot. The second book that I really liked this year, I just had to mention this because it's such an easy read and it's just kind of easygoing, and that is Open and Shut by David Rosenfelt. I also did a review on this, and I did it as well with my friend ItsJustChurch. I will link that as well. This was just a really nice, easygoing mystery novel. I'm excited because I liked it so much that I'm definitely going to be reading the rest of the Andy Carpenter mysteries. They have golden retrievers, they have crime, courtroom drama, they kind of have it all. It's the type of read that's just really, it's just entertainment, and that's okay, that's a good thing. But this is definitely something that I was pleasantly surprised by, and I've since gotten a bunch more of these in the mail from thrift books, so I'm super excited. It is by no means a book that came out this year, by the way. This is definitely like, I don't know how old it is, but it's definitely not a new book. To me, it was a new book, and I was a fan. So those are two books that I really liked. So let's move on to a book I reread this year. This year I reread Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, but I actually reread it in another language because I've read it so many times in English. I figured I might as well try reading it in another language. So this copy is La Version Française, and I liked it in French as well as in English. I actually think, if anything, it was scarier in another language, and I don't know exactly why that is. Or maybe, honestly, maybe I was just forgetting how scary this book actually is because it's scary. That's like pretty scary for a children's book. But I enjoyed this a lot. I enjoyed a lot of the French names that replaced some of the names. So Poudlard instead of Hogwarts. Pouf Soufflé is what they say for Hufflepuff. So the translator in this he's really funny, and I really like his translations. Oh, Magic Wand is une baguette magique, which just makes me think of magical bread. So this was fun to read, and it was beneficial, and it was just as good. Now, a book that I read this year that I didn't like is one that I haven't talked about at all because I disliked it so much. I did not finish it, and I didn't even really want to talk about it, but I'm talking about it now. I found this at a thrift shop in San Francisco at a used bookstore. It seemed like a good deal. I was like, let's grab this up. This looks incredible. It looks so interesting. And I started reading it, and it is just too dense. Oh my gosh. It is like a flourless chocolate cake kind of dense. I don't know why I thought this would be good. I had only read a few pages in the store, and it turns out that those few pages stretched on and on and on. This whole, like, just the first section, the introductory section, goes on for so long, and it feels like, you know, that friend who loves hearing themselves talk? They just love going on and on. It's like that, but in writing. To be honest, I couldn't finish it. I had no interest in wasting my time on it, and that sounds really mean, and it's supposed to be a good book, and it looked interesting, but it's gonna be a no for me, dog. Next is a book that helped me learn or taught me something, and this is What to Expect When You're Expecting. This year I had a baby, so I read the classic What to Expect When You're Expecting, and I legitimately found it helpful. I don't think it's the only book you need to read while pregnant. There's definitely other books that have different points of view. I know Expecting Better by Emily Oster is another really popular kind of alternative. My advice would be to read them both, but this just has answers to a lot of really basic and classic questions that you might just want answers to. I don't know. I learned a lot from it, definitely. It taught me a lot of things that my public school health class neglected to tell me. And my last category is just an honorary mention because I don't know exactly where to put this. I really can't have too many favorite books of the year, otherwise I feel like that loses its meaning. But I really enjoyed this book. It just was really good and definitely deserves at least some sort of mention in this video. I did an entire dedicated review on this as well, and I felt like it was such a unique type of scary story, kind of supernatural story, and it just really played off of race relations. It takes place in like the Jim Crow era, and so I feel like this was a really good book. It was just baseline good, but it also had this really interesting commentary and a lot of allegories that made it that much better of a read. This would be a great book for like a book club or any type of discussion because there's a lot to talk about here. It's just really good. It's also, I guess, a show on HBO too. I saw the first 2 episodes of that. Actually, they're pretty different from the book. They were sort of book faithful, but also sort of not. So I would say, like, read the book. Definitely read the book and then maybe check out the series because it seemed a little bit different when I watched it. Definitely would recommend, and it needs a spot on this list, I guess, but I didn't know exactly where to put it, so I think that's going to be it for this video. I just kind of wanted to do a little recap of some of the things I read this year that really hit me, or some of the things that missed the mark. That's okay. Let me know below some of your favorite and least favorite books that you read in 2020. I'd actually be interested to hear that. And I think that's pretty much it, so I'll see you later.